What's up, guys? Welcome to week 2 of TNA Impact. We had the Community Battle Royal last week, which saw Sami Callihan become the #1 contender to face Tessa Blanchard for the Impact Championship. We also saw the debut of Zoe Stark, and we saw William Mack defend his X Division Championship. And we are on the road to Slammiversary. And
there we are, Chad.
Week 2, the fallout of last week. What's going to happen? Well, we are about to find out. Justin, are you ready?
Oh, I'm in my seat. Cross the line. This is episode, like Chad said, this is episode 2 of the. What are we going to call this save or series, Chad? We gotta figure that out before episode 1 comes out. But until then, this is the cross the line. We can go back to our old
battle for number 2.
Battle for number 2. I wish I was not AEW then, but
that's just the working title. We can call it. I don't know what we can call it, but we'll brainstorm some names.
Tony Khan could get fired, and I'm gonna go take over Ring of Honor right now. Watch me. TNA Impact right now, episode 2. This is gonna be a good one. We're still live in Mississauga because we are taping 4 weeks of Impact at once. But here we go. We're going right into it. We hear the music of Moose coming out first.
Yes, Moose comes out and he says, I was so close at becoming #1 contender for the TNA Championship. And, he shows the recap. He says, but see for yourself. And you look and you see the recap of the Battle Royal. And you see Eddie Edwards in the final 5. And Eddie Edwards, he was fighting off elimination. And while he turned around, and while he was turning around, he ran right into Moose with a spear, which basically allowed Moose to then throw Eddie Edwards over the top. And after he threw him over the top, he started talking some smack to Eddie Edwards, and Eddie must not have liked what he had to say, because as Moose was one of the final 2 men, Eddie Edwards ran into the ring and began fist fighting Moose, which resulted in Moose getting eliminated by Sami Callihan. And so Moose says, it looks to me like, as you can see from that video, that Eddie Edwards is a sore loser. He couldn't handle the fact that he got eliminated easily, by the way, by me, Moose. And he just had to throw a little tantrum, and it cost me my shot at the title. And Eddie Edwards comes in and he says, listen, Moose, I didn't do anything that you wouldn't have done. You threw me over the top rope. I can live with that. But when you decided to run your mouth, and you know what you said. You know what you said. You made it personal. You were talking shit about me and my family. And I just couldn't let that stand. So yeah, I came back in there. I squared up because I'm looking for a fight. And if you're upset that I cost you the match, then how about you and I fight about it tonight? And Moose looks at Eddie Edwards and he says, no, you're not worth time, Eddie Edwards, but I'll fight you when I'm good and ready. And Eddie Edwards and Moose. Eddie Edwards was looking for a fight, and Moose said no.
Yeah, I didn't know Moose was a scaredy cat like that, man. I thought you were about that, Moose. Come on now, buddy. Come on now, Moose. I can't wait for that match. Probably next week, right? Maybe. Who knows? You're right.
Maybe.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump to conclusions. Let's get on to our opening match, which I already forgot what. Oh, never mind. I do remember it. Last week we saw the debut of hot young prospect Leah Vaughn, and she got bullied around the ring by Zoe Stark, who is being already proclaimed on tapes, and Scott Ross Sapp has also said, on the TV tapings that Zoe Stark has looked unreal in her debut match. Leah Vaughn is in the ring tonight, Chad, against another debut tonight. Maybe not debut, but a debut for the save.
Yes. As we see now here, Leah Vaughn, she has her second match in the Knockouts division, and she's taking on Deonna Purrazzo. And in about that terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat, Deonna Purrazzo defeated Leah Vaughn with a Fujiwara armbar.
Yeah, and this is a different kind of match. It was similar in the way of it was a dominant beatdown performance onto Leah Vaughn, but in a different styles. As Zoe Stark was a in-your-face, hit-you-in-the-mouth kind of wrestler, well, Deonna Purrazzo was taking and picking apart Leah Vaughn limb by limb, and you see by armbar, and made Leah Vaughn tap out. So it looks like we have two big prospects here in the TNA Women's Division, and two different wrestling styles of Zoe Stark and Deonna Purrazzo. Could that lead to a future down the line between the two? Probably not, but they both have beaten Leah Vaughn here tonight in or on the tapings. So Leah Vaughn, she's not doing so hot. Give her a night off, Chad.
Leah Vaughn could be like the good luck Chuck of the Knockouts division. You wrestle Leah Vaughn and you're a star the next day.
That's a good. I forgot about that movie. Shout out Dane Cook. You know, he's a piece of shit. But shut him out.
Shut him out. We're backstage, and Jillian Jacobs, she's confronted by Jordynne Grace, and she says, "Listen, I am itching to get some payback on Tenille Dashwood because she cheated to beat me, and you know that if she hadn't cheated, she would have been pinned by me, and we wouldn't be having this conversation of her deserving a knockouts match, a title match." And Tenille Dashwood, she says, "Unfortunately, though, for you, Jordynne Grace, I did beat you, and that does mean that I am owed a knockouts championship match at SummerSlam, at Slammiversary." And Jillian Jacobs, she says, "Here's the thing, all right? Tenille Dashwood, you did cheat. As far as I'm concerned, I don't owe you anything. And the only reason why you're not wrestling Jordynne Grace tonight is because, unfortunately, Jordan, you got injured in that match and you're not medically cleared to compete tonight. However, don't you worry, because you can watch as I set up a true #1 contenders match next. We will see who will face Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts Championship at Slammiversary."
Yeah, get fucked, Tenille Dashwood. Is she not in it? She's not in it, right?
She's not in it.
Okay, so we move on to that match right here. Chad, tell me about this.
Yes, we have Havoc versus Tasha Steelz. And in a poor match, of course, Havoc she definitely used the power game to overpower Tasha Steelz, and she used the Demon Drop, and that might, if she hits that on Jordynne Grace at Slammiversary, we might have a new Knockouts champion. But we have Havoc versus Jordynne Grace at Slammiversary.
That's going to be big, two meaty women slapping meat. That's going to be a hell of a match. Remind me to take John E. Bravo off the booking or the road agent squad, because he is really struggling out there.
Yeah, he is not great. We're backstage. Don't adjust your televisions. That's Trish Stratus. We are, of course, based in Canada, and Trish Stratus was available, so she has a special surprise tonight, and she is talking with Gail Kim. Gail Kim, you know, she says, "Gail, first of all, it's so good to see you again. You know, and they hug, and she says, I have so much respect for you. And this TNA Impact, this TNA Knockouts division has always been class. And, you know, I'm kind of upset that I'm retired because I would love to mix it up with some of these women." And Gail Kim's like, "Yes, I agree. It's a shame that you and I never went toe-to-toe." And then the fans, you know, they pop for it. They want to see Gail Kim versus Trish Stratus. And unfortunately, you won't see it because they're both retired. But Trish Stratus, she says, you know who I've been really impressed by? Zoe Stark. And as that's happening, Zoe Stark walks by. And Trish Stratus, she tells Zoe Stark, "You know, listen, I saw you last week, and I gotta tell you, you remind me a lot of myself. And, you know, I'm very impressed." And then Madison Rayne starts laughing as she walks by, and she says, "Listen, Zoe Stark got lucky. She beat somebody who I've never even heard of before, and yet everyone thinks that she's impressive. I'd love to see how she handles being in the ring with a real knockout. In fact, a former Knockouts champion." And Gail Kim, she looks over and she says, well, listen, I definitely have some stroke here in this company. I could probably talk to Jillian Jacobs, and I could make this match official from next week. And Zoe Stark says, please do, Gail, and then looks over at Madison Rayne and says, I'll show you that I'm not just some rookie, and that I didn't just beat a nobody, because after I beat you, you're going to be a nobody, and I'm the next knockout up.
Damn. Leah Vaughn is not a nobody. Leah Vaughn is not a nobody. All right, so what is that next week? We get Madison Rayne and Zoe Stark one-on-one?
Yep.
Damn, I'm excited for that one. That one is going to be a banger. Shout out Leah Vaughn. She deserves more. Give her the world, Chad.
She does.
Give her the world.
Give her the world. But Justin, speaking of the world and the Olympics who fight all across the world, we've got Olympic medal winner for Canada, Corey Jarvis, an Olympic wrestler, going one-on-one against Josh Alexander tonight. And who knows, maybe you could maybe consider this a bit of a tryout match, as some would say. And then about that decent reaction from the crowd in Subpar Wrestling, Josh Alexander defeated Corey Jarvis in 9:48 with a TKO.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Jarvis, former Olympian. I'm reading to see if he actually won anything. It does not look like he ever won Olympic gold anywhere, but he is a former Olympian. He came in 8th in the 2016 Rio Olympics.
Scratch Olympic winner, medal winner, because that never happened. But he is an Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, he is an Olympic wrestler. I mean, he has golds and other things, but never in the Olympics, Chad. But that is his best. He's a 2014 Commonwealth Game gold champion. So, yeah, the Wish.com gold.
Commonwealth Corey, they call
Commonwealth Corey. Oh, that's sick. I like it. Commonwealth Corey Jarvis here. He got a 36. Was off his game and didn't click, so this match could have been outrageous in terms of match rating. Corey Jarvis might have a future in wrestling, Chad. You might have to talk to him backstage.
Yeah, maybe.
He's here for another 2 tapings of Impact, so this might not be the only time we see him here in Mississauga.
After the match, Josh Alexander and Corey Jarvis, they shake hands as a sign of respect for the young lad. But we have breaking news. Tessa Blanchard has been attacked backstage. We see her in the parking lot, just completely covered in blood. And we see a car directly over her, as if to assume that she was struck by a car. And out of the car walks OVE. And Sami Callihan, he looks over Tessa Blanchard and he says, I'll be taking this, and takes the belt off of Tessa, gets back in the car and drives away.
What the fuck? Where are they going, brother? They got another. They're running her over.
Ohio.
They're going back to Ohio. They gotta get through borders, brother. That's stolen property. Yeah, they ran her over.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We need this. Are you going to send the police after them?
He says
Canada's finest?
It's okay. Free health care. She'll be fine.
Oh, that's fair, but she's not Canadian.
But she is still living there, doesn't it? Doesn't the same thing apply?
Is she living there?
I mean, isn't she there currently? Doesn't that mean you get free health care?
No, I don't think she's there. Well, that's not okay. Don't you have? Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll get into the politics later tonight because we have an X Division free for all here right now.
Yes, we've got big time implications on this match. We are still looking for an opponent for Willie Mack, and Willie Mack is at ringside watching this match. The champ is here, and we have Ace Austin versus Chris Bay versus Suicide versus TJP versus Daga versus Trey, and in a decent match, Ace Austin defeats all of them, and yeah, he has a big win. He pinned Chris Bay with a house of cards.
That's no, it wasn't. That's not my favorite TV show. I was about to say, but Kevin Spacey's in it, so I can't like it. But
it was a good show. It is a shame about Kevin Spacey. He's a piece of shit. But we see Ace Austin and Willie Mack. Willie Mack thinks Ace Austin is a piece of shit, and they are sparring back and forth with some verbal jars, as they say. And Ace Austin, he does the motion around his waist of championship gold, perhaps.
Ooh. Our co-main event here, Chad. Winners last week, cousin Jake and Cody Deaner. They've taken on two newcomers to the TNA roster.
Yes, we got XXXL taking on the Deaners, and of course, in a poor match, the Deaners defeated XXXL in 11:32 when cousin Jake pinned Larry D while using the ropes for leverage, just showing that these two, the whole Diener family must have been nothing more than a family of con men and cheaters, because they continue to just take every shortcut possible. They didn't have to cheat to beat this team, no disrespect to them, but they did, and that just kind of shows you how despicable they are.
I hate everything the Diener family represents after watching this match. Having to cheat in a match that you probably didn't need to cheat in. That being said, AC Romero, 41, was the highlight of this match. So take notes, Chad. Take notes. AC Romero, pretty decent.
Is AC Romero, isn't that somebody? Isn't that
somebody? Yes, that is.
Isn't that like, yeah, but isn't he wrestling for like, isn't that somebody WWE has right now? Isn't that like, is that Bronson Reed, or am I crazy?
No, Bronson Reed is Jonah Rock in the Indies, or in New Japan, or wherever he was. I don't know who AC Romero is in terms of, he's not in the Fed for sure. I don't think he's in AEW as well. So,
well, right on. All right, and then after the match, the Deaners are in the ring. They're beating down their opponents, and all of a sudden the lights turn off and the crowd pops. And on the screen, we see Crazy Steve in a dark room by himself, and he says, "You two got upset with me because I insulted your family. A family of," literally exactly what I just said, "con men and cheaters. You decided to attack me after that match last week, embarrass me. So I called upon a member of my family." And then the camera pans out, and you see Rosemary there from the Decay. And they said, "So your family want to fight? Well, my family want to fight, and I think we can have that fight at Slammiversary."
Ooh, so we're gonna have like a
challenge is out. The Diener family versus the Decay at Slammiversary.
I wonder if there's going to be some special forces in that match. We'll have to wait to find out. Or it could be just a 2-on-2 match. My background on my computer just changed. It scared me. It's our main event now, Chad.
Me too. Yes, our main event. As we move on to our next segment, we have a 6-man hardcore match. Rob Van Dam, Rhino, and Sabu taking on Hernandez and Reno Scum. Rhino beat Hernandez last week, and Rob Van Dam and Sabu, they got a little chippy with Reno Scum in that battle royal last week, and so tonight we are seeing the fallout from that match, and about that decent reaction from the crowd and Subpar Wrestling. RVD, Rhino, and Sabu defeated Hernandez and Reno Scum when Rob Van Dam pinned Luster the Legend with a Van Daminator.
A Van Daminator. 52 for RVD, was head and shoulders the best guy in the ring. After the match, though, Chad, all three of these guys, they're doing their thing, showing out, and they, what do they do to poor old Luster the Legend and Adam Thornstone?
Yeah, after that match, the fans keep chanting, "We want tables, EC Dub. We want tables, EV2." And that gets them riled up. And so they hit their finishers all on Reno Scum and put them through 3 tables to send the crowd home happy.
What is EV2?
That's what they were called during their ECW tribute show, because they didn't have the rights to ECW.
Oh, I wonder what the EV violence, maybe? I don't know. Your show got a 39 here, Chad. It's fine. It's increasing the popularity. TNA at this point is only like a 35, which is why I'm already contemplating, without even running a show, should I change off of AEW? We're gonna find out. You'll know by end of episode 1 if AEW is too good for this series. We'll find out. But until then, you might be seeing Dynamite after this. You might be seeing Ring of Honor TV or something. Who knows? Let me know in the comments what you end up seeing. We'll see you for episode 3. And yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to NWA Power. We are live here in Orlando, Florida. We just saw a great Impact show, and now we get to the A show. And if you are wondering, hey, why do you do NWA solo and you do Impact with Together? It's because Chad's a busy boy. For the last 2 years, me and Chad have moved. We lived together. We had our own. The TEW dungeon, the streaming house, was no joke. It was no gimmick. We lived together for 2 years. For the last 8 years prior to that, I think we lived maybe 30 minutes away from each other. We have been lifelong friends, and but now he moved across country, and it was just kind of hard with his situation now to find time to record as much as we do now. So we thought it would just be best if I can do my stuff solo, because I run and record everything, so I can at least get my shows done without needing him to find time in the day of his busy schedule to record a 7-minute episode of Power. Okay. So to clear the air on why Chad's not around for NWA, that is the reason. But let's get into the show. We got a massive show. Last week we saw Trevor Murdoch become #1 contender. We'll see what happens with that tonight with each show. We start off, though, with Ethan Carter III coming out. And he looks like he has something to say. Let's see what he has to say. He grabs the mic and he says, "Hello, National Wrestling Alliance audience. If you have been living under a rock for the past decade and have no idea who I am, shame on you. But let me introduce myself. My name is Ethan Carter III. 2 months ago, a false crisis happened around the world, and I was let go from the company on top of the mountain. The false crisis. The man himself was trying to keep Ethan Carter III down. But I control my own narrative. Last week I walked into NWA, and look at what happens. The man is once again behind the curtain, pulling strings to keep me down, putting me in some match with swine like Eddie Kingston, and not giving me what I deserve, the NWA World Title. So, Eddie, I'm calling you out tonight for a match, and you will see why I am the essential character here in the NWA. Ethan Carter III, big words here tonight. Like he said 2 months ago, with the false pandemic, he was let go due to budget cuts from WWE, but now he is in the NWA. We move on from that to our opening match. Last week we saw Zicky Dice defeat Zane Dawson, and tonight he takes on the other Dawson brother of Dave in 731. Zicky Dice remaining undefeated here, getting the job done. They do not seem to click, though. They don't click. Zicky Dice, though, getting another win in an easy match for the kid, showcasing his talents and showcasing why he is the NWA World Television Champion. We go on to our next match. We see Camille. We saw her last week defeating Ashley Vox. Tonight, she takes on the Duchess of the Suplex, Amber Young, a local talent here in Florida. She goes one-on-one with Camille. She stands toe-to-toe with her, but just cannot get it done, as Camille showcasing her dominance and gets the job done in 5:48, hitting Amber Young with the spear. We now go backstage and we have Alicia Tout with Eddie Kingston. I am here with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston puts up his hand and cuts her off and says, "Alicia, I don't mean to cut you off, but I heard what the man said. Ethan Carter, EC3, whatever they want to call you. In New York, you know what they call you? Chicken shit. I'm going to bash your face in tonight and send you back to the unemployment line if you think you're so essential. Alicia, thank you." Short and sweet from Eddie Kingston, but he is heated from earlier words from Ethan Carter III. That is our main event, Eddie Kingston, EC3. We move on, a tag team match. Eli Drake and James Storm, we saw them as tag team champions last week. They get a non-title match again tonight as they defeat Thomas LaRufa and Mikhail Verge in 9:48 when Eli Drake pins Thomas LaRufa with a bottom rung. Another good win for the NWA World Tag Team Champions. We did see Eli Drake. He was struggling a little bit in ring, but still a 50 and a 47 respectively from in-ring and match rating. But after that, we hear some music of we know the music. We saw Royce Isaacs last week with Strictly Business, but due to travel, we did not see the other member of Strictly Business, Thomas Latmer, otherwise known as Bram, as they come in and they stare down. It seems like they're calling their shot to the NWA Tag Team Champions Eli Drake and James Storm. Now, if Isaacs and Latimer, somehow get the tag team belts off of them, that could Strictly Business would have most of the gold here in the NWA. As we transition from the scene to the office of Billy Corgan, Nick Aldis walks in. Nick Aldis enters. He walks into Billy Corgan as that last office, as the last segment ends, and Nick Aldis, he says, Billy. Look at that TV over there. Look at those lovely gentlemen in the ring right there. Royce Isaacs and Thomas Latimer. They would make great NWA Tag Team Champions, wouldn't you say, Billy? And Billy looks back at Nick Aldis, looks at the TV, and says, well, while I want to disagree with everything you have to say, Nick, they do look like credible opponents for Eli Drake and James Storm, and I do need contenders at Shockwave. Don't you agree? As Nick Aldis shakes his head and turns to leave with Camille, and Billy says, "Hey Nick, before you go, and while we're on the topic of tag team wrestling, Trevor Murdoch stopped by earlier today and was asking." He was asking to get his hands on the national treasure, as you called yourself, before the pay-per-view. So as the gentleman I am, I granted Trevor Murdoch his wish. So next week, Nick Aldis, it will be yourself and the lovely Camille taking on the #1 contender, Dirty South, Trevor Murdoch, and a partner of his choosing. A good day to you, Nick Aldis. And Nick Aldis he's not happy about it as he leaves the office of Billy Corgan. Next week, we do have a tag team match, main event probably. Nick Aldis and Camille taking on Trevor Murdoch and a surprise opponent, or surprise partner. But now we go into our main event. It is Eddie Kingston and Ethan Carter III. Who would have thought this would main event power? I would have thought. I wrote it down. As these two go back and forth for a 16-minute classic between great technical wrestlers. Eddie Kingston hits a pile driver on EC3, and that's going to be he thinks that's going to be the finish. He crawls over to the referee, or to the downed EC3, and he goes over, lays his hand, climbs over, and goes for the pin. 1, 2, and the referee gets pulled out of the ring. Who pulled out of the ring? Him out of the ring? It's a hooded figure, and this man stands up as Eddie Kingston is looking bewildered, has no idea what the hell just happened. We're not going to see it here. It is. You'll see after the match. He keeps his hood on as EC3 goes over, rolls up Eddie Kingston, and uses the rope for leverage to get the win. 1, 2, 3. EC3 defeating Eddie Kingston here by 15-12 because I didn't put the post-match angle, but it was. Oh, I didn't even make it. Oh, I didn't even add the guy. Yeah, no one will know who the hooded figure is until next week. We could do this, actually. You know what? Let's do this. Let's add it right now. On the fly. 2-minute. We could even do a beatdown. You know what? Because they're going to beat him down. Ethan Carter III and his new boy, James Laurinaitis. and the new boy. New boy beat down Eddie. Okay, so you're probably wondering who James Laurinaitis is. Let's add that to the show. So James Laurinaitis is a local worker here, but he is a former NFL player, and is he not his son of Road Warrior Animal, and he's his uncle is John Laurinaitis. So he is no stranger to the wrestling business as they stand tall to end the show here tonight in Orlando, flirting a 56. Okay, that is better than anything Impact has done so far. Who knew you just needed EC3 and Eddie Kingston in your show? But we'll see you for episode 3, Impact and Power. The backlash of what just happened here tonight, and Nick Aldis and Camille taking on Dirty South Trevor Murdoch and a mystery opponent partner.